Paris Hilton is telling a harrowing story of time spent at a boarding school for troubled teens. She says she still has nightmares. We brought together a group of other former students who back up Paris's claims. They spoke with Anne Mercogliano.
Paris Hilton's claim that she was abused at her boarding school is ringing true to all these people.
Raise your hand if you'd call yourself a survivor of abuse. Wow.
I spoke to 13 former students who, like Paris, attended the controversial boarding school when they were in their teens or even younger.
I was put into solitary confinement the first day I was there.
I remember hearing screams through the vents trying to study at night.
I know that every time I speak of it, it hurts.
In the new documentary about her life, Paris talks about the discipline she says was imposed by staff at Provo Canyon School in Utah, a facility for troubled young people.
Solitary confinement, like something out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They'd make people take their clothes off and go in there like for 20 hours. I was just freezing, I was starving.
She also spoke about her experiences on Drew Barrymore's new talk show.
Did anything about it fix something for you?
All it did was give me trust issues, post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't deserve to go there.
Catherine McNamara says she attended the school in the late 90s with Paris Hilton and was also placed in solitary confinement.
It's cold, you have to take your bra and like your socks and everything off, that except for like they let me have like a very thin t-shirt and shorts. The AC is blowing in there all the time, so it's to purposely make it uncomfortably cold.
Sarah Stevenson says she was punished for being too sarcastic.
I was deprived of any human contact or conversation for about 45 days.
Paris, known as the flighty heiress turned savvy businesswoman, has now taken on a new role of crusader as she speaks out about boarding schools that deal with troubled teens and the abuse she says takes place there.
Do you think that abuse still happens at schools like these?
Absolutely.
The school posted on its website that it can't comment on what happened before 2000 because the school was under different ownership, but they say they're committed to providing high-quality care to their student.
My name is Jen Walker. I was admitted to Provo Canyon School in Provo, Utah from 2003, 2005. I was out for a number of months and I was readmitted in 2006 to 2007. The first time I went to Provo Canyon, I was 14 years old, so I was very young. I was admitted for basic depression. I was not doing well in other schools and just wasn't functioning. So after having run away from home, my parents made the decision to send me to Provo Canyon. There's not much to say about my first day there. I was very young, I just obeyed by the rules and got out within 15 months, which is probably a longer stay than most children, but I did not endure a lot of hardships at that time. However, when I was first admitted, I had a kind of punk haircut. I had like two long bits of hair here and it was shaved out the middle, and they shaved my head because they felt that the haircut was attention grabbing, which, you know, obviously that's the point of a punk haircut, I guess. So my head was shaved and I was very skinny. I was suffering from anorexia at that time, and I remember that over the radio when the staff would talk about me, instead of referring to me by my last name, they called all the students by their last names. So I was Walker. Many times you wouldn't even know what your companions' first names were, but they would refer to me as Auschwitz instead of Walker because I was skinny and my head was shaved, which is pretty disgusting. So that was my first day. There's nothing really to say about that. I was readmitted when I was 16 years old. I had run away from home after dabbling in drugs and just being sneaky, which are pretty much all behaviors that I learned from Provo Canyon the first time around. I was not aware of all the drugs I could be using and all the things I could be getting into before I went there, and I learned all that from my peers and from the drug and alcohol classes that they give you. So I was readmitted, and I was not happy about it this time around. For the first week, I believe you're not allowed to call home. It might be 2 weeks, but I refused to talk to my parents, I believe, for a month and a half to maybe 2 months. Finally, I got to the point where I was willing to have weekly phone calls, which, by the way, are monitored by your therapist until you reach, I think, achievement level, which is nearly impossible for a lot of students. So you have a weekly monitored phone call with your therapist, and you're not allowed to talk to your parents at any other time during the week. You can't even pick up a phone to dial 911 if you absolutely needed to. That's up to staff, not you. So eventually, a visit was arranged with my family. My parents came up and took me on an off-campus visit, which you can have when you reach advanced unit, which I had gotten to at that point. I had been planning up until the day I got there to escape as soon as I had the chance. So I had built up my plan, and I'd even gotten, I was in cahoots with a member of the staff at Provo Canyon because, one of the staff members, a female staff member, was having a romantic and physical relationship with a friend of mine, another female at Provo Canyon. And I was the only person for quite a while who knew about it, and being so, I was the one to pass notes between them and, keep messages going between them and even help them meet up. Not too sure how I feel about that now, but at the time I felt like I really needed to have some staff member on my side if I was going to get away. And also at the time I just, my ideas on adult and teenage relationships were not the same as mine now. So that staff member knew about my plan, and she gave me bus fare for when I ran away.
The last school that I went to was Provo Canyon School, and that was the worst of the worst. There's no getting out of there. You're sitting on a chair staring at a wall all day long, getting yelled at or hit. I felt like a lot of the people who work there got off on torturing children and seeing them naked. They would prescribe everyone all these pills. I didn't know what they were giving me. I would just feel so tired and numb. Some people in the place were just gone. The lights are on, no one's home. A lot of people were on suicide watch, and I was so scared that was going to happen to me. So eventually, I found out a way to not take the pills. But everyone would tell on everyone, and they found a Kleenex with all of the pills in it. And I got in so much trouble for that. Solitary confinement. Like something out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They'd make people take their clothes off and go in there for 20 hours. Felt like I was going crazy. Someone was in the other room that was in a straitjacket, screaming. I was just freezing, I was starving, I was alone, I was scared. My parents were in New York. They didn't know. But I was so angry and so upset,
And the serial killer is like, yeah, there was a time. I was out in Provo Canyon, and I just killed a girl, and I was trying to dispose of her body. And so they get married, and 10 years later, they're at home, and the TV is on. It's tuned to like a Dateline type of show, like a true crime show, and neither of them are really watching. But an interview comes on, and it's a journalist talking to a death row inmate. It's a very famous death row inmate, and he's very near his execution date, and he's giving this kind of full-blown interview about, what he did. And at some point, the journalist asks him, was there ever a time that you almost got caught, before you got caught? And the serial killer is like, yeah, there was a time. I was out in Provo Canyon, and I just killed a girl, and I was trying to dispose of her body. And I dragged her across the trail. This young couple comes turning around the corner.
Seriously, look how big it is. I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
It was a bluebird January morning here in the foothills of northeast Provo when a group of guys saw a figure on the mountain that looked like something they've never seen before.
You can't just see something that's maybe a once-in-a-century discovery and go do your 9-to-5 job. You gotta go look for fur or footprints or some kind of evidence.
And the camera was rolling as Austin took to the mountain with a buddy on a search for the elusive Bigfoot.
So I'm seeing something that is not deer tracks anymore. We're trying to determine what it is.
Their findings were inconclusive.
Was it a bear? Maybe. That's plausible. Was it a person? Also plausible. Was it something else? I think that's also plausible. Who knows?
On the other hand, I spoke to a curator from the Natural History Museum of Utah who says not only is that figure in the video not Sasquatch, but it's safe to say that Sasquatch is not something that would even exist.
What's the likelihood that there are big animals that have gone undetected by scientists and by trained observers?
Dr. Eric Rickard has spent much of his career exploring places people have never gone before in search of new species. So far, no Bigfoot or anything like it.
There are lots of undiscovered things, particularly in the natural world. But they don't take the form of giant apes running around in largely settled areas of the world.
So what do you believe?
I'm really hoping I get to go look again. Maybe there's something out there to find right here in Utah, even in Provo.
And Provo police say they have found an explosive historic artifact. Provo PD says yesterday morning they discovered this, a World War II era bomb in a commercial park just 1,000 feet away from I-15. Authorities say that bomb was dormant, so they say it wasn't a threat. However, Hill Air Force was notified and removed the bomb from that site. That'd be terrifying to see in your backyard or anywhere near a highway.
To say the very least.
Glad to hear it's dormant, though.
Yes, that was taken care of. Good news.
How many private equity firms wanted Charlie gone? Again, that's David Huey was arrested for allegedly forcing a 16-year-old girl to use methamphetamine and sexually assaulting her. According to police, the victim told a friend about the abuse that occurred while she was staying at Huey's home while her mother was dating him. She said Huey had her use meth multiple times a day for 6 days. He's now been booked into the Utah County Jail on charges of forcible sex abuse, felony rape, and distribution of a controlled substance.
Developments into our newsroom after a deadly shooting in Provo last week involving a 75-year-old man and an FBI agent.
Today we now know that Craig Robertson was shot and killed at his home by an FBI agent. New details coming out today. Brian Cheney of the Live Desk with those details from the FBI.
Heidi, the FBI now saying that Robertson pointed a handgun at the FBI agents as they attempted to take him into custody. This happened last Wednesday morning, the day the president was set to arrive here in Utah. According to the FBI, special agents attempted to serve an arrest and search warrant at Robertson's home. This was related to threats to, quote, elected officials and law enforcement officers. The FBI saying in a statement today, Robertson resisted arrest and pointed a .357 revolver at an agent. Robertson was shot and killed. The shooting is under review by the FBI's Inspection Division. On the Live Desk, I'm Brian Cheney.
We tracked something in there. We were able to locate a set of snowshoes that were left by some trees. And in following footprints left from those, we were able to locate an individual.
Well, tonight, Tim authorities are back open after a 2-day search ends with the body recovered. It's our top story tonight on 2 to 6 at Market.
And I'm Heidi Hatch. While the body hasn't been officially identified, the Utah County Sheriff's Office believes it is 19-year-old McKenna Meyer. Tonight we do have team coverage of the rescue efforts. First of all, McKenna Meyer's friends are remembering her as a spontaneous and also a reliable adventurer.
We'll respond with more of that to find out more about McKenna and who she is.
Yeah, I spoke with one of McKenna's friends who's known her since high school. She says she's the type of friend that would show up when no one else would, and she called her a force for good and light in the world.
She aspired to help people with their problems, even though she was going through her own, and everyone that knew her loved her.
Olivia and McKenna became friends during their senior year at Skyridge High School and went to BYU together.
One of my last memories with her is when I invited her to an event I was in charge of for my club. None of my friends showed up except for her.
The two of them would go on spontaneous adventures together, and Olivia says she lived her life to the fullest.
McKenna was more than a friend. She was an adventurer, a student, a force for good and light in the world. We were coworkers, neighbors, friends, and we made it through high school and almost through college together.
McKenna was on her way to becoming a psychologist. Olivia says they bonded over their love for science.
One thing that I want people to know and remember about McKenna is how smart she was. She could figure anything out in any situation.
She wants to encourage others to check on their loved ones and reach out if they need help.
Be a friend to anyone and everyone. Show people that you love them and don't take people for granted.
New this morning, a man is being charged for threat of terrorism after allegedly saying he would blow up the Provo Missionary Training Center. 49-year-old Anthony Beardall was officially charged yesterday for calling the BYU Information Center in April of last year and threatening to blow up the MTC. Police say he called the information line at least 10 times that day, making threats and saying the MTC needed to be shut down. He's now facing charges for threat of terrorism and electronic communication harassment. Right now, Beardall is in jail for making bomb threats on a different case.
The defense team for the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk now says the bullet used could not be matched to the gun Tyler Robinson allegedly shot. That's according to court documents obtained by CBS News. CBS News national correspondent Carter Evans has more details.
It's been nearly 7 months since conservative political activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed during a Utah Valley University campus event on September 10th last year. Now, attorneys for Tyler Robinson, the man charged in Kirk's killing, are asking to delay his preliminary hearing to review a mountain of material they say could help his defense. In a new court filing, the defense claims in an ATF report summary that the agency, quote, was unable to identify the bullet recovered at autopsy to the rifle allegedly tied to Mr. Robinson.
Doesn't mean that those bullets aren't the same or that they aren't connected. It just means there isn't enough evidence there to come to a conclusion.
CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson says this is not unusual.
It is sometimes difficult to match bullets that were recovered at autopsy with bullets that are associated with a defendant's gun. And that could be based on lack of evidence and lack of markings on those bullets.
Robinson has been charged with aggravated murder in Kirk's death. He has not yet entered a plea. Prosecutors intend to seek the death penalty.
Robinson hid the gun and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages.
Prosecutors allege Robinson admitted to killing Kirk in those text exchanges.
Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry.
Prosecutors also say they have DNA evidence that connects Robinson to the killing. Levinson says the inability to conclusively match the bullet won't necessarily damage the prosecution's case.
The prosecution has other evidence to rely on. This does not completely undermine their case.
I'm Carter Evans.
New this morning, authorities in Utah say the late serial killer Ted Bundy is without a doubt responsible for the murder of a teen
scene more than 5 decades ago. 17-year-old Laura Ann Amy was last seen on Halloween in 1974 leaving a party. Her body was found in American Fork Canyon a month later. Bundy confessed to killing Amy prior to his execution in 1989, but detectives at the time said there was not enough evidence to close the case. Authorities say new DNA testing standards help link Bundy to the murder.
Skinwalker Ranch is a hotbed of potential paranormal activity. At one point, this non-governmental organization went out there and did this whole in-depth study, and they came back with quite a few anomalies. There's like paranormal activity, hotspots all over. The livestock are found with surgical incisions and organs missing. And of all the places in the world, this is one of the places where consistently people are saying weird stuff happens there. The most terrifying was one of the people who lived on Skinwalker Ranch described how Skinwalker Ranch is a massive property, but they had this little farmhouse that was kind of situated in the middle of the acreage, and so there's no neighbors anywhere. It's just this isolated home right in the middle of nowhere, and he began hearing tapping sounds on the outside of his house at night, like just tapping on his house. There's no neighbors, there's nothing nearby, and because of all the weird activity on the property, he was too scared to investigate for the longest time. But then one time he decided to go investigate, and he heard this tapping, and he looked outside, and there's this dark, tall figure right outside the window, tapping on the glass, over and over, staring directly through the glass, tapping at him. Goes outside, there's nothing there. Comes back inside, another window, another figure tapping on the glass. Sketchy stuff.
Skinwalker Ranch really derived its name from a curse. The Skinwalker curse has its roots in a feud between the Ute tribe and the Navajo tribe, at a time when the Utes were really aligned with the United States government and had sold many of their peers into slavery. So the Navajo cursed this property. A skinwalker is essentially a witch that has chosen to put on the skin, essentially, or the form of what can only be described as a giant wolf. A skinwalker is something that exhibits superhuman agility and strength. Placing the skinwalker curse on this property made it a very real place to avoid.
We've heard all these stories that if you dig on this ranch, bad things might happen to the people that do the digging. So there's a space down here that we've got instruments that say there might be something underground. The only way to know is to drill. We want to do it safely. We certainly don't want to do something that's dangerous. But we'd love to get your perspective on it.
Normally when we do anything to disturb the earth, we usually lay down the blessing, because I don't want to tap into something that isn't meant to tap into.
Amen. That's been my whole contention the enther time.
Let's put it this way. Let's go and see.
I would love that.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Why don't we head out there and look?
Let's go for
Great.
it. It's a vast property.
How many acres?
It's about 512 total. Yeah.
Didn't realize it was that.
You know, it goes quite a ways south.
Larry Sespooch performing a Ute tribal blessing at the drill site might help calm the anxiety that some of the guys have about disturbing the ground on the range. And who knows, maybe it will really help keep us safe.
As you can tell, this is one of the old dwellings here. We call it Homestead 2. This is an area where people have had various experiences. I'll leave it at that.
So if we decide to dig, it's going to be along this roadway where we detected anomalies under the ground. We don't know what it is. We just know it's something different than the rest of the dirt around under the ground here.
Right. I will lay some tobacco. I will ask for understanding that no one be hurt or affected.
We'll listen with reverence.
Sure. Abuno. Panike. Mono. Tuboy panapagat. Itaga. Omwe. Nasnakaba. What kya? Data what you? What ke vasni? What ke vasni? Michael, no. Okay.
Wow, thank you very much for that. We appreciate you helping us with that.
Yeah, I would hope that you all would have been praying with me, because you're the ones who's going to do it. And if it's something that we shouldn't touch or tap into, your instruments, your machinery will malfunction, and just take that as a sign that it's not good. Just leave it at that.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything.
Yeah, he's been trying to tell us no, and I think this helps.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Great to meet you, Larry. Thank you.
Here we go. All right, let's do this.
In this remote area outside Cedar City, Jason Hansen teaches people just a little bit of what he learned in the CIA.
Oh! That's all right.
And it's not always as easy as they make it look in the movies. We'll see my second attempt at that in just a minute. But for my day at the spy range,
So, duct tape is the #1 way all over the world that criminals kidnap people.
Hansen is showing me how to escape.
So I'm up here like this, and I go like that. Oh, wow.
I'm very impressed. But this move isn't all that hard if done correctly.
Just a couple of times.
Hansen says the key is to pull fast and out with your elbows.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
That's perfect. There we go.
Similar with the legs.
Separate.
Separate.
And drop quickly.
There you go.
And then it's time to go in the trunk. It's not the type of skill most of us will need.
So a lot of the customers and clients I have are more high risk.
In the boardrooms of America's most powerful companies, in the halls of Congress, in the CIA's classified operations rooms, there's a pattern that few people talk about. A network so effective at producing leaders that it rivals Harvard and Yale, yet operates from the mountains of Utah. No secret handshakes. No Ivy League legacy admissions. Just a faith-based education system that's been quietly outperforming America's elite institutions for decades. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a pipeline you've probably never heard of, but has already shaped the country you live in. Welcome back to Solveni, where we examine the hidden systems that shape our world. I'm your host, and today's investigation might surprise you. How does a university in Utah, founded by a religious community, produce more Fortune 500 CEOs per capita than almost any institution in America? Why do intelligence agencies recruit from it? Why do top consulting firms fly across the country to find its graduates? This isn't about religion, it's about results. It's about a system, an education pipeline built with precision, discipline, and long-term vision. Now, let's start where most people overlook, the foundation. Let's begin with something that doesn't add up, at least not at first glance. Brigham Young University, BYU. It's not Harvard, it's not Stanford. Most people outside the American West couldn't even tell you what state it's in. And yet, according to research from multiple business publications, BYU produces one of the highest rates of Fortune 500 CEOs relative to its size. Companies like Marriott International, JetBlue Airways, Dell Technologies, and Black & Decker have all been led by BYU graduates. The CIA? For decades, it's recruited heavily from this campus, so much so that intelligence analysts noticed a distinct Mormon pipeline into sensitive government positions. Why? Here's the first twist. This isn't accidental. This is engineered. To understand this, you have to understand what the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, commonly called Mormons, built over 150 years ago. They didn't just create a university, they created an entire educational ecosystem. It starts early, very early. From childhood, young Latter-day Saints are placed into structured learning environments, Sunday schools, seminary programs during high school years. Then, for many young men and some young women, comes something almost unheard of in modern America, a 2-year mission. Now, let's pause here. Think about what this means from a purely educational standpoint. Imagine you're 19 years old. You leave your home, often go to a foreign country, learn a new language fluently within months, manage your own schedule, set goals, face rejection daily, and develop an ability to communicate with strangers from completely different backgrounds. No college credit, no salary, just discipline and purpose. By the time these young people arrive at BYU, they're not typical 21-year-olds. They've lived abroad. They speak Mandarin, Portuguese, Russian. They've learned resilience. Here's what rarely gets discussed. Major corporations noticed this decades ago. The missionary experience creates something business schools spend millions trying to teach: emotional intelligence, cultural adaptability, and intrinsic motivation. Ask yourself, would you rather hire a 22-year-old fresh graduate or a 24-year-old who's already managed themselves in a foreign country for 2 years? What do you think? Drop your answer in the comments. Does life experience matter more than early career entry? But the mission is just one piece. BYU itself operates differently than most universities. First, the cost. Tuition is roughly $6,000 per year for members of the LDS Church, a fraction of comparable institutions. This means students graduate with little to no debt. Second, the culture. There's an honor code, no alcohol, no premarital relations, strict academic integrity, dress codes. To outsiders, this might sound restrictive. But here's the twist. Employers see it differently. They see graduates who've proven they can follow structure, delay gratification, and maintain discipline over years, traits that translate directly into professional reliability. Third, the network. BYU graduates form one of the tightest alumni networks in American higher education. They hire each other, mentor each other, open doors for each other. And because many served missions in the same regions, they've already built trust across decades. But here's where it gets really interesting. Now, zoom out. This isn't just BYU. The LDS Church operates a network of schools, from elementary to graduate level, across multiple countries. There are LDS business college programs, seminary systems, institutes of religion near major universities. It's a cradle-to-career pipeline. Compare this to traditional American education, fragmented, expensive, often disconnected from real-world skills. The Mormon system is integrated, it's affordable, and it produces graduates with a specific profile, disciplined, networked, experienced beyond their years. Here's the uncomfortable truth. While America's elite universities debate admissions policies and raise tuition to $80,000 per year, this faith-based network has quietly built a system that outproduces them in certain leadership metrics. Not in Nobel Prizes, not in cutting-edge research, but in producing reliable, effective leaders who manage organizations, run companies, and navigate complex bureaucracies. And most Americans have never even heard of it. So what does this tell us? It tells us that systems matter more than prestige. That character formation, whether you agree with its source or not, can be more valuable than elite credentials. That long-term thinking beats short-term optimization. The Mormon education pipeline isn't perfect. No system is. But it's effective in ways that challenge our assumptions about what elite education should look like. Whether you're religious or secular, whether you're raising children or leading organizations, there's something to learn here. Structure, discipline, purpose, network. These aren't religious concepts. They're universal principles that work. I want to hear from you. What stood out most? Do you think other institutions could adopt these methods without the faith component? What does leadership education look like where you are? Share your perspective in the comments. I read every single one, and your insights make this community richer. If this kind of deep dive research interests you, subscribe to Solve and Eat. We investigate the systems that quietly shape our world, from technology to power to education. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. And if you found value in this today, share it with someone who's interested in education, leadership, or just understanding how the world really works. Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and keep questioning the systems around you.
This video is sponsored by Keeps. More on them in a bit. In May of 2014, an IT contractor working for the National Security Agency, or NSA, fled the United States after leaking terabytes of secret, top secret, and other classified documents. In this leak, programs such as Prism, which conducted intrusive surveillance on social media and search engine servers, and Dishfire, which captured and stored text messages and related data and metadata, were revealed to the public. Included within the many terabytes worth of leaked documents was key information about the Utah data center, the NSA's main data storage and backup facility. Since then, the NSA has attempted to get ahead of the leak and regain control of the narrative with greater or lesser success, and one of their tactics has been to compile and publish this leaked information along with explanatory notes. Whether or not this has worked for the NSA, what it does mean is that we're now in possession of some of the only hard information available about one of the most secret places on the planet. The NSA is what's known in the intelligence community as a SIGINT, or Signals Intelligence Agency. What this basically means is it's their job to intercept and collect communications and other signals and electronic and radio signature information before either storing it for future use or processing the data into usable intelligence. In the days before cell phones and the internet, Signals Intelligence was mostly concerned with radio, satellite, telephony, and various electronic and radio emissions of military equipment. The rapid explosion of information technologies from the late 20th century onward radically transforms the shape and function of the NSA. Catapulted onto the front lines of the cyber battlefield, the NSA very suddenly became the custodian of massive amounts of data, as advances in computing and the surveillance capabilities associated with this brought them more and more material, all of which had to be stored while the government tried to figure out what to do with all of this intelligence. The rising threat of terrorism in the post-9/11 world accelerated this process, and in the years leading up to Snowden's and other whistleblowers' revelations, the NSA was faced with gargantuan levels of data storage requirements. This led to a secretive program, first revealed by journalists coding budget reports to build a massive data center in Utah. According to Snowden, this project was initially called the Massive Data Repository, which was later changed to Mission Data Repository. According to the official NSA site, however, it's still called the Massive Data Repository. As for the choice of Utah as a location, the state has long been a hub for digital technology facilities. The University of Utah housed the only ARPANET node outside of California, and some of the country's most prestigious computer science programs were taught at that institution. ARPANET was a precursor of the internet, created by the Advanced Research Projects Agency, a Department of Defense Research agency, which was eventually to become DARPA. Utah is also home to an area nicknamed Silicon Slopes, a play on Silicon Valley, which houses facilities for companies like Microsoft, Oracle, and Adobe. Additionally, quite a few highly secretive programs have been based in Utah, attracted by the wealth of remote, isolated, and easily defensible locations available in the state. The state government itself pitches hard for these projects as well, pointing out the general lack of natural disasters and their willingness to cut sweetheart deals for utility costs and infrastructure bills. And this is why Utah is home to facilities for training drone pilots and testing chemical and biological weapons armaments. So it was that in the mid-2000s, the program chose a remote patch of flat land with a nice mountain view of the edge of Camp Williams, a National Guard base just south of Bluffdale, for the construction of its massive data repository. Have you ever wished you had someone to help you with your hair loss? No, I certainly have. 2 out of every 3 guys are going to experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. But Keeps offers clinically proven and research-backed treatments that not only stop hair loss, but can also improve hair growth and give you healthier, fuller-looking hair. Plus, their treatments are recommended by licensed medical providers and come with the convenience of being delivered directly to your door. And it's all at about half the cost of a traditional pharmacy. Not only do they deliver right to your front door, but Keeps provides you with a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists who can help you make your hair goals a reality. Each treatment plan comes with unlimited messaging support with Keeps licensed medical providers, so you can connect at any time and ask all your hair-related questions. Look, whether you're looking to prevent or slow your hair loss, stimulate hair growth for a thicker and fuller head of hair, or simply want to maintain and take better care of the hair that you have, Keeps has got you covered when it comes to your hair needs. From their clinically proven treatments to an award-winning all-natural thickening shampoo and conditioner system, they have everything you need to reach your hair goals. So don't wait any longer. Take control of your hair journey with Keeps today. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/megaprojects or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/megaprojects for 50% off their clinically proven hair loss treatments. And now back to today's video. In 2010, the US Army Corps of Engineers, who were to supervise construction, awarded the build contract to a consortium of firms headlined by Balfour Beatty, DPR, and the amusingly named Big D, along with the amusingly named Big D, along with the architectural firm King Stubbins. Construction began soon after the $1.2 billion contract was awarded. Over the period of the build, a massive tract of land was cleared, fenced, and excavated, with a small army of security contractors and specialist staff called in to help. Initially, security for the site proved problematic, with guards and agents grumbling that the specially hardened chain and barbed wire fence was too low and too see-through. They were also unimpressed with the coordination of access control as the new roads were built and opened ahead of adaptations to the patrol and guard patterns. Journalists would wander into the site, either accidentally or deliberately failing to spot the signs warning them that trespassing was prohibited and they were on official federal property. The security staff complained the signs were too small, and Kashmir Hill, a journalist for Forbes, reports blowing straight past without noticing them before she was stopped and detained for more than an hour for taking pictures. At one point, press reporting on the site inspired two sovereign citizens to roll up to the gate and demand an explanation for the construction. Interestingly, during the time Mrs. Hill was detained, she pointed out there wasn't really any point making her delete the pictures she took, as the whole site was basically open to view from the ground or the air. The special agent who had detained her cryptically responded that only less than half of the site was in view. If this throwaway comment is to be taken seriously, it means that a significant portion of the Utah data center is underground. This is interesting as none of the official or unofficial documentation mentions an extensive underground complex. As part of the deal cut with Utah for sitting the data center in Bluffdale, new items of infrastructure were built for the site, developments which were welcomed by the government. Chief among these was a 4-mile water pipe and a 3 million gallon water tank. As the open date of 2013 approached, and as an increasing amount of more sensitive installation was taking place, security was tightened significantly, and most of the random incursions stopped. In that same year, however, a series of unexplained and highly destructive power surges wreaked havoc with the nearly finished data center, and the opening had to be delayed for a year. It's been estimated that each surge, of which there were 10 reported, caused $100,000 worth of damage. The official explanation for these power surges was that the electrical system, designed by King Stubbins and called upon to provide unprecedented requirements, had interacted with itself in unpredictable ways. Whatever the truth of the matter, the electrical problems were solved. The data center officially came online in 2014. The official name for the Utah Data Center is the Intelligence Community Comprehensive National Cybersecurity Initiative Data Center. As this is very catchy, the site is commonly known by its codename Bumblehive. The official function of the Bumblehive is to provide a centralized repository of immediately accessible data to authorized intelligence customers. What this means is that other intelligence and law enforcement agencies, including those of allied countries, can apply to the NSA for access to the data they've collected. This can be helpful in terms of fusing intelligence, a process whereby signals, human and other types of intelligence, are synthesized in order to provide a more complete picture of observed activity. According to the NSA, the heaviest staffing burden of the Utah Data Center revolves around controlling access to this data. Highly cleared officials are tasked with processing data requests and determining whether or not the requester has the appropriate clearance and legal authority to see what they're asking for. The Bumblehive takes up an area of 1.3 million square feet, or more than 12 hectares, with 100,000 square feet being the actual data center itself. The rest of the area is taken up with support, administration, and ancillary facilities. In terms of the power, the center soaks up 65 megawatts, a huge amount of electricity, costing about $40 million per year. There are 20 buildings on the site. These range from central administration buildings to firefighting facilities, as well as dedicated pump house, emergency diesel generators, electrical substation, water treatment plant, refrigeration plants, and security-related structures, such as vehicle inspection bays and visitor control facilities. The 60 emergency generators are said by the NSA to be capable of providing 100% power backup for 3 days. Other sources report that they could power the core data center continuously for an entire year. There are quite a few conflicting media reports about the data capacity of the Bumblehive, with estimates topping out at several zettabytes. So, zettabyte, by the way, is basically 100 million terabytes. The NSA is tight-lipped about the total capacity, saying that the actual number is classified for national security reasons. They do, however, quote Utah governor Gary R. Herbert when he boasted on his blog that the Bumblehive would have a yottabyte's worth of capacity. A yottabyte is 1,000 zettabytes, or 1 trillion terabytes. In context, the entirety of the data created, consumed, and stored by the whole world in 2020 was 64.2 zettabytes. So, does this mean that Governor Gary accidentally let some information slip and the NSA is tacitly acknowledging it, or is it clever misdirection? Either way, all the NSA will officially say is that the data center was designed with future capacity expansion in mind, and that the current and future capacity can be measured in a lot of bytes. Very clever, NSA. There's also some arguments as to whether or not the Utah data center is the biggest data repository in the world. There is no argument about the fact that China has the physically largest data center. China's People's Republic Telecom Data Center is widely known as being the biggest in the world, but it is unknown how much data it holds. Having said that, the law in China mandates that all of the data associated with its 1.4 billion people must be held on government servers. There's also a complete lack of meaningful privacy protections in the Chinese state, which means that theoretically there is no limit to what information can be collected by the government. This, combined with the fact that China is set to produce more data than the US by 2025, makes it highly likely that the Bumblehive is at best in second place, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. According to some sources, the data center's drives are solid state, meaning that they require less power and cooling than spinning tape drives, as they have fewer mechanical moving parts. It's thought that the data being stored here is being mirrored so it can be instantly recovered in case of failure. The data is also striped, which is the practice of storing consecutively sequenced data in different locations so that failure in one location won't wipe out the whole string. It's important to note that these details inform speculation, as the inner workings of the Bumblehive are necessarily classified. The whole center is run by a massively parallel Cray XC30 supercomputer. Massively parallel processor arrays are a collection of central processing units, or CPUs, in which hundreds of thousands of CPUs and RAM banks are integrated into a single circuit. If we think of each CPU as a brain providing a certain amount of calculating power, then the way a massively parallel processor array works is by pooling hundreds of thousands of brains together so that they can pass work to each other over a a specifically built interconnect. This allows large and complex problems to be segmented, with each segment being figured out simultaneously or in parallel in order to finish our problem quickly. The massively parallel cray in the Bumble Hive can perform 100,000 trillion calculations every single second. The NSA has stated that it's currently working on cracking something called the AES algorithm. AES stands for Advanced Encryption Standard. This is the encryption algorithm used all over the world. 256-bit AES encryption is highly secure. It would take the Bumble Hive's cray a few hundred years to brute force a single instance of AES 256 encryption. The NSA's computer research facility at Oak Ridge has been working on this problem, and new supercomputing centers revealed in budget papers indicate that they may well be on the way to building an exaflop computer. An exaflop machine would be capable of breaking AES encryption within reasonable timeframes. Until the day that they have one, the NSA says that one key function of the Bumble Hive is to store captured encrypted data against the possibility of cracking it in the future. Amusingly, the Utah Data Center has a 2-star rating on Google reviews. A great many of these accuse the NSA of stealing Utah's water. The western USA is currently in the grip of mega drought, and water supplies are critical all up and down the Midwest, especially in those places which depend on the Colorado River. The reasons for this are complex and stretch back a long way. Utah consistently has some of the highest water usage figures per capita in the country, and over the years, states along the Colorado have played fast and loose with water supply, subsidizing water-intensive agriculture and making environmentally questionable decisions. This is especially critical in Utah, which is one of the driest states in America, and the Great Salt Lake, after which Salt Lake City is named, has been visibly shrinking for several years. This has brought the water shortages to critical relief, and the NSA, having a fair amount of negative profile over the years, has become something of a target on this issue. This is because data centers use a lot of water. In order to run their computers or supercomputers, a huge amount of cooling needs to be done, and the most effective way to do this is through evaporative water cooling. According to Bluffdale City records, the Utah Data Center used 128 million gallons of water between June 2021 and May 2022. This is the equivalent to the consumption of 2,800 individuals. The Facebook Data Center, which is only slightly smaller, used 13 million gallons for the same period. This drain on the city's water is a contentious point for those who live in Utah. Many of them believe that the state and city governments have made a poor deal, exchanging short-term gain for long-term drainage of vital resources. The NSA, for its part, says that it's aware of the issue with water consumption and that it's working hard on innovative dry cooling techniques to reduce their impact. It says that it's already reduced its expected water consumption by a third, returning 34.5 million gallons of water to the Jordan River. They point out that their used water, which is purged from the system when it's no longer usable for cooling, is used for irrigation in Bluffdale. They also politely point to the 3 million gallon tank and pipeline that they paid for. This seems to have done little to mollify many residents of Utah, some of whom are passionately opposed not just to the Bumble Hive, but to all the data centers, current or planned. At a time of water shortage and economic turmoil, the planned 300-acre Google campus, which will also be sited in Utah, is a major point of contention, and the NSA's facilities are frequently brought up in the discourse around this and other planned developments. The other great controversy has to do with the issue of what the NSA actually does. It's hard to believe, but there was a time not so long ago where very few people had even heard of them. The NSA was an obscure, highly technical organization which hardly anyone, not even Hollywood scriptwriters, really thought of as sufficiently interesting to mention. This all changed after the Snowden and other leaks, however, and the NSA has emerged as bogeyman of the surveillance state. Some of this reputation is absolutely justified, and it's clear from the leaks and investigative journalists that the NSA surveillance program had massively overreached itself in the wake of 9/11. While claims that the agency is watching and recording every digital communication made in the United States are highly questionable, it is understandable that so many people believe this to be true. When the Utah Data Center was in its final year of construction, 2 NSA whistleblowers, William Binney and Kirk Weiber, took to the press with claims that the NSA was capturing not just the metadata of all domestic communications, but also the content. Metadata, for those who don't know, is data concerning things like time, place, and participants in a conversation, but does not include the conversation itself. Binney, who is a technical director at the agency, argued that the massive capacity of the Bumble Hive could only be for capturing all of the content, as metadata storage is much lighter and would only need a warehouse-sized facility. Against this is the official NSA position. They have repeatedly asserted that the NSA is constrained by the law and that it has oversight from every branch of government, a fact they say makes it impossible for the agency to overreach its authority. They also spent some time blackening the reputations of Binney and Weiber, saying that they've been losers in internal politics, were embittered malcontents, and had been outside the agency for so long they couldn't possibly know what was going on. Despite these denials, or perhaps even because of them, a great many authoritative sources report as a matter of course that the Utah Data Center is the repository for the NSA's collection of every US citizen's text messages, emails, phone calls, and payment and location histories. The NSA says it's merely a repository of the data collection, which has been strictly targeted, as well as suspicious encrypted communications, and that access to this data is strictly controlled. However we might choose to believe on this one, it's still a fact that the Utah Data Center, or the Bumble Hive, is one of the most impressive achievements of the information age, for good or for ill.
We begin this half hour in southern Utah, where 12 people are in custody on suspicion of child trafficking and sexual exploitation charges.
Yes, this is a result of an aggressive undercover sting operation set in motion at the beginning of the week. ABC4 Southern Utah correspondent Katie Corrales reports.
Now, police say this investigation began Monday night when someone posted a message on Craigslist asking anyone interested in spending time with children should reply via email. Police say more than 100 people responded, expressing their interest.
This individual was smart in that the statements were vague and weren't able to be criminally charged.
Dixie State University Police Chief Blair Barfus, who co-led this investigation, said the operation was specifically geared around sexual exploitation of minors, whether that be individuals that are sending illegal videos and images of themselves or soliciting that material. Police say the arrests were not confined to race or socioeconomic status. The vast majority were from the St. George area. Authorities say that reveals there is a problem with child sex trafficking locally, but it's not limited to St. George. The issue is prevalent throughout the country.
We arrested on the last few days individuals ranging from the age of 19 to over 70. Individuals came from Cedar City, from Colorado City, from Vegas, from California.
Officers say they established about 5 pre-planned locations in downtown St. George, all of which have contingency plans in place during the arrests. Police gave the individuals engaging in illegal activity online the opportunity to come and meet someone they thought was a child under the age of 14 to have sex with. DSU police say this investigation also led to felony charges of rape for 3 of the men arrested. Their officers say they want to thank the strong collaboration with other agencies and the community who brought this to their attention.
It's one of the most important things that I believe we as law enforcement can do.
Protecting our children, the most vulnerable. In St. George, Katie Kraulis, ABC4 News.
It all started here in Samoa, an island nation in the South Pacific, when more than 80 children were adopted by American parents. The adoption agency Focus on Children. What were you told about this little girl's background?
That her parents could not put food on the table to feed her, and they wanted her to be able to have a meal and be able to have a better life.
Was she technically an orphan?
That's what we were told.
The cost seemed reasonable, about $13,000. So Mike and Carrie Nyberg agreed to adopt the 3-year-old little girl, who they named Aaliyah. They were told she had been living in FOC's orphanage for months. It wasn't until they brought her home to Utah, Aaliyah, she began to settle in and learn English,
Say hi, Daddy,
that they began to suspect something was wrong with her adoption.
she started talking about how she would sleep on the floor, and she started naming her parents and her siblings.
She's hurting, and she's missing her family.
The Nybergs decided to find out what the intentions of her birth parents really were.
We wanted to find out the truth.
But the truth would have heart-wrenching consequences, and not just for the Nybergs, but for dozens of American families.
Initially, there was a lot of shock. They were afraid that their family was going to fall apart.
Look what I did! 57 American families, like the Minslers in Texas and Patty Sawyer in Wisconsin, discovered that their adoptions may be fraudulent.
I can do 10 cartwheels.
While they believed they had adopted orphans, the Samoan families, all poor and uneducated, believed they had signed their children up for a foster program and that their children would be coming home at age 18.
I was lied to.
It's all a lie.
Lies.
Focus on Children lied to us and the Samoan parents.
Now the question on every parent's mind was, will I have to give up my child?
Regardless of what happened and regardless of what Focus did, we made a vow to her to be her parents for life. We are her parents, and nothing is going to change that.
Much to the dismay of many of the parents, the owners and the 5 employees of Focus on Children managed to plead down over 100 felony charges to just a handful of misdemeanors. But perhaps even more troubling, the criminal case never addressed the legality of the adoptions. We talked to 3 American families in Saturday night's 48 Hours about what that means for them. Katie?
Maureen, such a sad story. Thanks very much. And as Maureen said, the story continues on 48 Hours tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central, right here on CBS.
Well, we also have an ABC4 exclusive shining the light on a pressing topic right here in Utah. We're talking about human trafficking. It's a $150 billion global business and an illegal business that's booming right here in our state. ABC4's Brittany Johnson went for an exclusive ride along with law enforcement as they took down a trafficking ring. She joins us live in studio with that story. Hey, Brittany.
Hey, Emily. Well, there is a red spot hovering right there over Salt Lake City. It means the area is a marketplace for human trafficking. People here in Utah, mostly young women and girls, are being forced into the dark underworld of the illegal sex trade. Now, in a sting operation, which did take place before the COVID-19 pandemic, I'll show you how modern-day slavery is taking place right in front of your own eyes. Utah has a dark secret, and tonight, with the help of the State Attorney General's office, ABC4 News is bringing it to light.
Well, not right now.
Human trafficking. Law enforcement officers say it's modern-day slavery.
It's happening every day, all throughout the state. We have a task force, a strike force that's their main focus 24/7, 365 days a year.
Leo Lucy is Chief of Investigations at the Utah Attorney General's office.
It can look like anything, and it can be being run from the street corner to a sophisticated business front. And we've had everything from doctors, lawyers, cops, salesmen, you name it, that have been caught up in it.
Both traffickers and Johns.
Right.
So it can be boys, girls, men, women, but in certain cases, A lot of the times it starts on the internet, or it starts through social media or smartphones.
Regardless of how it starts, human trafficking is reaching epidemic proportions. In 2019, the Polaris Project, a non-profit organization dedicated to fighting modern-day slavery, identified more than 22,000 victims and survivors, over 14,000 victims of sex trafficking, almost 5,000 labor trafficking victims, and over 1,000 victims of sex and labor.
They're forced against their will, often with very severe, almost terroristic tactics by the perpetrators, threatening the victims' parents or families, siblings, forcing them into the sex trade.
The traffickers don't discriminate. Anyone can become a victim, but the perpetrators often target the undocumented, and they intimidate and use physical force to break the will of their victims.
You'll have someone who's undocumented, and they're so afraid of coming forward, even to authorities. But secondly, they're extremely afraid they're going to get deported, lose their status, so they don't report, and they're exploited, sometimes to the point of death, or again, being raped and abused, enslaved. The psychological torture tactics, the terrorist tactics, play such a devastating role and have such a devastating effect on the victims. They really aren't free to just walk away.
This night, we're staked out with Chief Lucy and Attorney General Reyes.
We have Brittany with us and their cameraman, so just call me on the phone.
Our cameras rolling as we discreetly pull up to the motel. The detectives just arrived here on scene. They're about to execute their search warrants and make contact with the alleged victims and alleged traffickers. A tip obtained by the Utah Attorney General's Office Secure Strike Force team leads them to believe drug trafficking, human trafficking, and prostitution are taking place within the walls of this motel.
This motel's been around a long time and had issues for years and years.
Brendan Call is the section chief of the investigation division at the Utah Attorney General's Office.
We had information that payments were also going into that area, that they may have been involved with some of the prostitution and drug trafficking.
The officers move in and bust up the crime ring. With help from Salt Lake City PD, agents rip apart rooms used by the alleged perpetrators and victims. The officers find drugs, drug paraphernalia, and weapons inside the seedy motel. 5 suspects are arrested and hauled to jail, charged with human trafficking. Victims were referred to services.
We had someone complaining of some chest pains. We know that some of them are high on heroin and having issues because of that. And of course, we got them medical attention and helping them out the best that we can.
What we're doing tonight, we could be doing every night of the week. And the only thing that prevents it is resource.
While access to the state makes Utah a crossroads for human trafficking activity and Salt Lake City a hotspot for the trade, Attorney General Sean Reyes says he has a message for perpetrators who take advantage of Utahns.
For all the predators out there, is that we're coming, doesn't matter if it's the AG's office, if it's Salt Lake PD, or any of the agencies, we're all one law enforcement family, and we all have the same mission. That's to protect Utahns and help protect families. And so you can't run, you can't hide, we're coming.
Brittany, so one of the agents mentioned a very telling sentence that resources prevent them from doing these crackdowns every single night. So what challenges do law enforcement face in this fight?
Well, Emily, challenges do include not having enough funding to pay for the time and effort required to do these investigations, which can take months. Now, another piece of the puzzle here is making sure the right laws are actually on the books to prosecute these crimes, and also changing the narrative. People realizing that all human trafficking victims are not prostitutes. These perpetrators do prey on the most vulnerable, especially young children. Now, if you or someone you know is a victim of trafficking or to submit a tip, call the National Trafficking Hotline. The number's on your screen, 1-888-373-7888, or you can text 233-733. Glenn, back to you.
Hidden in the heart of the Great Salt Lake Desert lies a place shrouded in secrecy. A site the size of Rhode Island, known only to a select few. Established in 1942, its mission was to test the unthinkable. Biological and chemical weapons. Experiments locked behind layers of security. Surrounded by mountains and miles of restricted airspace, this isolated expanse holds secrets. Secrets buried in the sands of history and concealed behind impenetrable gates. A proving ground for weapons, or for something far greater? What lies behind the veil? Like, comment, and follow for more.
There's a place in the Utah desert that even Google Earth blurs. Vast, silent, and off limits, it stretches for miles with no signs of life. Just fencing, warning signs, and secrets buried deep beneath the sand. This is Dugway Proving Ground, a military base so secretive many Americans don't even know it exists. But those who do, they whisper about strange deaths, ghost towns, and tests that went too far. Some say it's the new Area 51. Others believe it's something even darker. One thing is clear. Something happened here, something they don't want you to know. Over the decades, files have been sealed, witnesses silenced, and evidence erased. But the truth has a way of leaking out, eventually. What is Dugway Proving Ground? Dugway Proving Ground is a remote U.S. Army facility located deep in Utah's western desert, about 85 miles from Salt Lake City. Established in 1942 during World War II, it was designed as a testing site for biological and chemical weapons. With over 800,000 acres of restricted land, roughly the size of Rhode Island, it is one of the largest military testing ranges in the United States. Its location was chosen for isolation, allowing the military to conduct dangerous experiments far from civilian eyes. Over the years, Dugway has earned a reputation among insiders as the military's petri dish, where some of the most hazardous agents, anthrax, VX nerve gas, sarin, were developed, tested, and stored. Unlike Area 51, which deals in experimental aircraft, Dugway's specialty is silent, invisible warfare. For decades, it operated in near total secrecy. Even now, access is tightly controlled and photography is forbidden. Most Americans have never heard of Dugway. That's not an accident, it's by design. Because what happens there isn't meant for public knowledge, and when secrets like these are hidden long enough, they tend to fester. The strange incidents. While Dugway's mission is supposedly defensive testing, strange and deadly events have surrounded it for decades. One of the most infamous happened in March 1968, when nearly 6,000 sheep mysteriously died in Skull Valley, just miles from the base. The cause? VX nerve agent, a chemical weapon stored and tested at Dugway. Though the military initially denied involvement, internal documents later suggested otherwise. Locals have long reported bizarre phenomena, cattle dying without clear cause, odd chemical smells drifting across the desert, and even glowing aircraft moving in unnatural ways. Former employees have hinted at emergency lockdowns, incidents buried under paperwork, and protocols for exposure that suggest far more than routine tests. Civilians living nearby claim their water was poisoned and their health deteriorated. Even wildlife in the region reportedly vanished in waves. When a place is built for secrecy and experimentation, accidents can be expected. But the scale, the silence, and the recurring nature of these events suggest something more, something intentional, or at least something no one wants to admit. The government response. In the face of rising public concern, the government's response to Dugway's history has followed a predictable script. Downplay, deflect, deny. The 1968 sheep kill? Explained as routine spraying that went awry. Strange aircraft, training exercises, toxic spills, natural causes. For decades, officials have insisted that everything occurring at Dugway is legal, safe, and strictly regulated. But that hasn't stopped people from asking questions. Journalists investigating Dugway have faced blocked access, revoked interviews, and heavily redacted documents. Environmental studies are inconsistent or mysteriously unavailable. And whistleblowers who speak out often find themselves facing professional consequences, or worse, total discrediting. In the modern information age, these suppression tactics are starting to crack. But the deeper people dig, the more resistance they face. And the government's vague, evasive answers have only poured gasoline on the fire. Because when facts are hidden and files are blacked out, people don't forget, they speculate. And speculation, in this case, is fueled by decades of cover-ups, leaked files and whistleblower accounts. Despite the military's best efforts, some information about Dugway has managed to escape into the public eye. In 2011, the base went into lockdown after a deadly nerve agent vial went missing. The official report claimed it was a clerical error, but insiders suggested it was something far more serious. Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, requests have produced heavily redacted documents confirming the testing of anthrax, plague bacteria, and even chemical dispersal methods on outdoor ranges. Former employees have spoken anonymously about experiments involving live subjects, animals, and possibly even unknowing human participants. One whistleblower claimed test drones were sprayed with unknown substances to monitor their effects on nearby wildlife. Another suggested that exposure protocols didn't always protect staff, and that illnesses were quietly handled off the books. When files do leak, they often raise more questions than answers. Reports with blacked out paragraphs, missing dates, or vague terminology like incident occurred only deepen the mystery. Dugway isn't just a testing ground, it's a vault of secrets, slowly cracking open. Why it was covered up. There are many theories about why Dugway's darkest moments were buried. The most obvious? Fear of public backlash. If the government admitted to testing lethal agents that poison civilians or environments, the outrage and lawsuits would be massive. Some researchers believe Dugway's operations may have violated international laws, particularly treaties banning biological warfare. Others suggest the cover-up was about optics. No country wants to admit they experimented with weapons that could wipe out entire populations. The stakes weren't just national, they were global. Dugway's work with pathogens, toxins, and nerve agents treads into ethically murky territory. Whistleblower claims of human exposure, even accidentally, suggest potential human rights violations that no government wants exposed. Covering it up wasn't just about secrecy, it was about survival. If the truth ever fully surfaced, it could lead to global condemnation, political fallout, and an irreversible loss of public trust. So instead, documents were sealed, memories were erased, and the story was buried, at least for a while. What it looks like now. Today, Dugway Proving Ground is still very much active. But what it's doing is a closely guarded mystery. The base is surrounded by layers of fencing, security checkpoints, and cameras. Satellite imagery of the area on Google Earth is oddly blurred or low resolution, sparking even more curiosity. Some sections appear edited with structures mysteriously omitted or smoothed out. The airspace above Dugway is restricted, and flight paths are carefully diverted. Even the military's own updates on the facility are vague, technical, and almost unreadable to the public. Despite modern transparency trends, Dugway remains locked in a Cold War-style silence. Locals say black SUVs still roam the area and helicopters occasionally sweep low over nearby towns. From the outside, it's a fortress of forgotten experiments. From above, it's a digital void. One thing's for sure, whatever is happening there now, someone wants it kept quiet. Why people are still afraid. Despite official silence, fear lingers. Locals still whisper about strange occurrences, pets dying mysteriously, people developing odd illnesses, or hearing unidentifiable sounds at night. Some believe Dugway is more dangerous than Area 51, not because of aliens, but because of real-world experiments gone wrong. The thought of invisible threats, chemical, biological, or otherwise, lurking beyond the fences is deeply unsettling. And the secrecy fuels the paranoia. When a government facility refuses to clarify what's happening inside, imaginations run wild. Are tests still happening? Have new agents been created? Is anyone being protected? Or are we all at risk? The silence is louder than answers. If this story opened your eyes, hit like and subscribe for more hidden histories. Had you ever heard of Dugway before? Do you believe the government is still hiding something?
I'm Mr. Obsidian. Prepare yourself for the Man of Black.